Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the next installment of the Fly with Orbit Airlines series. If you're unfamiliar with this series, it's pretty straightforward. What we are doing is we are going to be connecting regional hubs, so smaller airports and regional airports, to one another that usually are not connected, or if they are connected, it's to a one-stop or a two-stop, your typical layovers. Today we are at the hypothetical Orbit Airlines hub that is Detroit Metro Airport, and we are going to be flying over to Amarillo, Texas, Rick Husband Amarillo International. We're starting things a little differently. Normally we would be starting at the gate with the aircraft powered on, and we go through everything. We're doing it a little different on the start right now, simply because of the aircraft we are in. So we are in the absolutely wonderful PMDG 737-900ER, and one thing that's cool, we have an Orbit Airlines livery. So I will use DLC aircraft, payware aircraft when possible, if they do have one. Certain aircraft, especially when we start doing long-haul journeys, will just be a default white for now until an Orbit Airlines livery is created by one of the awesome creators out in the flight sim world. But enough of that. We're on the apron, we're ready to taxi, but before we do anything, we're just going to go over what we're doing real quick. So we'll take a look at our flight plan. So we're leaving Detroit Metro using the Cinders 3 departure. A few waypoints en route. Now, because Rick Husband Amarillo is considered a smaller airport, despite having a long runway, it does not have a proper star arrival procedure, so it's just going to be direct. And we have ILS runway 4 chosen. So I believe that is a long runway. I've only flown there once, and that was in Flight Sim 10, but God knows how long ago. So let's take a quick look at our weather over here. So winds 9 from 190, good visibility. Altimeter is 3006, we already have that punched in. And temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. If you want to read the METAR, here it is. 190 at 9. 10-mile visibility, scattered clouds at 050, broken at 150, and overcast at 250. Temperature is 25, dew point is 16, the altimeter is 3006. And if we look over here in Amarillo, variable winds, again, visibility, the temperature is the same, which is surprising, it's kind of uncommon. And the temperature is warmer, it's 38. So, there we go. Variable winds at 5 knots. Hopefully that'll give us a proper wind change, if not wind calm. Sky conditions are clear right now. Temperature is 38. Dew point is 10, and the altimeter is 3006. So here we are. I already have everything programmed and ready to rock and roll. So we have our takeoff references here. So I'm going to go over here and get our flight plan set up right there. So I went through and programmed everything. We have all the weights, we have our takeoff references. We are pretty much set to go. The only thing we have to do is, well, fly the thing. So engines are running. We do have speeds. We just got to set that real quick. So our V2 is going to be 154 knots. So we're going to put it at 154 to start. Initial climb altitude is going to be 10,000 feet. I will hand fly most of this up to at least 10,000 before we activate the autopilot. So let's get our taxi lights on. APU is already off and ready to go. Nice little sunset departure. Hopefully we get a nice dusk arrival. I like doing those arrivals, so let's get going. So we are departing from the Evans terminal this time. Normally when I use this, do this route, it's always from McNamara, which is behind us, but I wanted something just a little more convenient with two runway 22 left, which is actually right over here. It's that right here, this runway. And the Evans terminal is quite literally right here. Typically at this airport, Evans terminal is used for non-Delta arrivals and departures. So you got like Aeromexico, Spirit when it was here, American, Frontier, your international flights like Lufthansa, Turkish, Royal Jordanian, basically all that stuff that services in and out of here. So, while we are taxiing, let's just go over a quick briefing. So we'll be taking off runway 22 left via the Cinders 3 departure. Our first waypoint is Arnab the Booze, which we already have programmed. Anything happens before V1, it'll be full auto throttles are going to be at idle. We are going to pop up the speed brakes and we're going to slam hard on those brakes, which are set to RTO. Anything happens after V1, we will rotate, we will take it into the air, get our gear up, we will clean up our flaps, pitch for FS after 1500, and then we will run some checklists and decide what we need to do. Alright, that should be a pretty smooth departure. We do have some inbound traffic, but the airport is currently we are in southbound operations. Runway 21 left is closed, so we have a lot of aircraft coming in on 22 right today, which we'll have to just be a little bit careful with. So look at that, we're already at 22 left. Well, let's go ahead and get those landing lights on. You see the sun is beginning to set here in Detroit. So we have traffic that needs to cross downfield, and then we will be able to go. So hopefully he will cross here momentarily. While we do that, let's just make sure everything looks okay. So we have everything set up over here. This is all good. Landing lights are on. Let's just make sure. Okay, so the smoking is on. Seatbelts are in auto. Everything looks good. We keep our taxi light off. Logo we don't need. Beacons on. Positions of lights are on. Don't need wing and wheel well. I think this guy's going to take his sweet old time. Let's see if we can get out of here now. We'll just go. Not using ATC. That's checked.
V1 team. Positive rate of climb.
Gears up. Degrees. flaps to 1. Pitch 10 degrees, 1,000 feet above the tarmac. Light director. Crossing 1500, power down. Set our speed to 250. LNAV, flight level change. $3,500 flaps at 0. 10 degrees pitch to maintain below 250 until the flaps go up to not overspeed them, like so. Now we can maintain pitch to hold 250 knots. Pretty good because now this aircraft isn't really heavy right now, so we can get a very good climb speed. We are climbing at 3,300 feet per minute and still gaining speed. It's 4,000 feet a minute, crossing 6,000 feet. Altitude restriction is 7,000. We can bypass that. We're just going to proceed direct to our cruising flight level of 35,000. Let's go ahead and set that up. Right there. Went a little fast, we can pitch up just a little bit. We're getting ready to cross 10,000 feet, so we are going to change our speed. We're going to hold 315 knots, so it's going to want us to pitch down a little bit, which we will do. Like so. Landing lights come off, the taxi light off, the seatbelts are in auto, so those should go off now that we are above 10,000 feet. Crossing the ratio waypoint, so let's go ahead and get realigned. The reason why we bypassed our initial altitude restriction is because for whatever reason we did RNAV the booze, so I don't know why it did it in here, but when we cost ratio had an altitude restriction of 7,000 right here. You can see that right here. For joules, which is what we're coming up to, it wants an altitude, and you can see it here, of 4,000 feet. Now obviously you're not going to want to climb to just descend and climb again. For some reason the vertical navigation didn't set right. That's why we were proceeding direct. Because by this waypoint you should be in almost 24,000. According to how this is programmed. Well, we're breaking through the clouds right now. Nice sunset. 13,000. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put on the autopilot just to let it do its thing and soak in a little bit of views. Sunset over the airplane. So the sound pack is the default PMDG sound set. I did buy the Boris Audio 737 sound set, and I didn't like it. It just didn't sound like a 737 to me, and Boris knocked it out of the park with the GE90 for this 777. But PMDG, as always, just absolutely kills it. That's why their planes are so ungodly expensive. Except for this one was only like $40 compared to the 75 for like the 800. So if you haven't seen it, I do have a review on the 737. So if you are interested in this plane, do go check it out. I'll tell you right now, this aircraft is worth it. We're 1,000 off of standard altimeters here. Once you get past 18,000, that's when you go to standard altimeter. That's how you fly it. Sometimes it'll want lower. Like I've had to set it to standard at 7,000, 12,000. It just depends on the area and kind of what you're flying. I've had to do like 7,000 altimeter standard at coming out of Frankfurt in an A350. We're approaching cinders. We have 25 miles, and we're approaching it pretty quick. You can see going pretty good. So now we're at 18,000. Now, if you miss it, right there, it goes to the little box and it goes yellow. Just click standard, and it puts you right back. And standard is just altimeter goes resets to 9.92. So now that we are at that height, I'm going to hold the speed. It's going to VNAV, or not VNAV, it's going to flight level change and LNAV up to 35,000. There's not really much to happen there, so what I'm going to do is cut it right here, and I'm back on the approach. I'm going to get kind of close to the airport instead of doing the full approach, because there's really no point, because there's no star, so it's just straight down. So, stick around, I will catch you guys on the approach into Amarillo. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have begun our descent down into Amarillo. We're just now crossing the 18,000 foot mark threshold to reset altimeters, which brings us to what the weather's doing, because it has changed since we departed Detroit. So let's take a look. So, it's getting a little crazy over there. When we left, it was clear. Sky conditions were clear. Good visibility. Now, looks like we're about to fly right into a storm. So, let's take a look. Gusts are 3. We have wind at 320 and 28 gusts, 52 knots. So that's going to be insane. 4 miles. Few clouds. 0 and 4 scattered. 045 broken 060. It's going to be very interesting arrival. Altimeter is 3019, so let's go ahead and plug that in. Oops. Oh, I went way too far. I hate it when it does that. Alright, altimeters are set. So we began descending a little early because I wasn't sure what we were getting into. When we look in front of us, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look that bad. Let's be real here. It doesn't really look too bad, but when we get there, it's going to be a little crazy. We can see right now we only have a 16 knot wind here. And the runway it wants me to run actually goes, it was, you can see it here, it wants me to go into the tailwind here, but we're not going to do that. We're still going to continue the ILS to 4. Because this is just not right. This is going to make for a very interesting approach. So we have our speeds set for 14,000 feet. I reduced the overall descent rate. I'm going to do it again to 1,500 feet per minute just so we can slow down a little bit more because we were at 278 knots. We want to be at 250. Landing elevation is around 43, I believe it is. 4,300? Just double check. 3,600. 3,600 feet for landing elevation there. Our initial descent is going to be to 5,300 as that what the VNAV requires. And I'm just doing it on vertical speed instead of flight level change so we don't drop out of the sky. So we're gonna slowly begin to lose our speed. Crossing 13,000 now. It doesn't look like much is going on, but it seems like there's going to be some crazy weather as we approach. But we do have a beautiful sunset over here. That was what I was aiming for. So we have about 48 miles to go, so let's slow our vertical speed down to about 1,000 feet per minute. That'll allow us to lose even more speed. - 12,000 feet, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on our landing lights just because of the landing elevation change. I'm also going to go ahead and just automatically put the seatbelt signs on right now because things are about to get bumpy. We have 9.3 left in the fuel. Mid-flight, it did give us a fuel warning. I did disable that because we had 25% fuel still, even though I put the reserves very low. So it did give us a fuel warning. We should be good to rock and roll. So, just a quick little briefing on the approach. So, there is no star. We're going direct to the first waypoint to line up for the ILS. Crossing 11,000 feet now. We have hit 250 knots. We already have everything pretty much set. Cabin is going to be prepared for landing. Our final approach speed, we're going to aim for 140 knots. It might be a little less, but the goal is 140. That'll also affect how I want to keep it there just in case if we get a wind shear warning. Overall, the flight was pretty smooth. Not really too much to go on. We did have a headwind of about 30 knots, so we were flying, so our true airspeed was around 458. We cruised at 0.78 Mach. We're about 458 knots in the true airspeed and about 413 knots on our ground speed. So here we go, crossing 10,000, just like that. Still at 35 miles, so 1,000 feet per minute, which should put us on target. It's kind of interesting considering how we are descending in. Granted, we are still 30 miles out, but I can still see pretty well, so I'm not sure what's going on over here. Now they've gone into full IFR mode and everything has, visibility has reduced again. So now it's 31027 gusts 47 instead of 50. That says here that the visibility is 3/4 mile. It looks like we do have some precipitation going on. So I'm actually going to pull up the weather radar on my phone here just to confirm that we are flying into weather, because yeah, we are about to fly into a storm. It's getting very interesting over there. It's a nice strong storm. Altimeter has gone up again, so we are 3023. I may have to do a go around here. We're about to see what happens here. Weather radar should be on, because when this aircraft does initially start up, everything should be on, so we should be fine. I'm going to go to 10 miles on our map here. 8,000 feet, 27 miles, smooth descent. At 20 miles, I'm going to slow to 210, we'll add a notch of flaps. But if you are new to this series, I mentioned it before, but basically what is going on is I have came up with this idea using Orbit Airlines. If you're familiar with the older flight simulator, Flight Simulator 2002, 2004, Flight Sim X, they have their own little Orbit Airlines livery thing going on. There's a little made-up airline, and it is continued into Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, which is really cool. So basically, the idea is to make it to where smaller regional airports that do have a functioning terminal can in fact be connected without a connecting flight, so you are going to fly direct to. So, example, my first starting series, we flew from Lansing, Michigan, Capital City Regional, and we flew to Will Rogers World. There's no flight that runs out there, so that's what Orbit Airlines is there for. As time goes on, I will use other aircraft. Like we have the 737, there are the two Airbus A320 and A321. The MAX 8 does have an Orbit Airlines livery, but I just don't like that plane. That thing does not fly well. So that's why I'm using the 900 from PMDG. There's your altitude warning. There's 2,500. So I'm actually going to set it for 5,500 just to get an initial. Keep it about 2,000 feet above the ground as we slow. So it looks like what we're going to have to do is realign real quick, because it looks like based on how this approach is going to go, it's going to make us turn tight. Like we're about to fly right by the airfield. Yeah, but thankfully there is some distance. That is the capture of the ILS. That's what we are looking for right here. And that should take us in. I can see lights on the ground, so that's a plus. We're 10 miles out. We're going to slow to 180. Let's add a notch of flaps. We're going to get ready here. The airport is 5 miles in front of us. We can't really see too much other than this beautiful airlines texturing. So we can see just how the visibility has impacted everything. We're going to go flaps 2. Heading mode. We're going to fly heading at 210. Because what we got to do is we got to line up heavy. And then we should be able to capture our ILS. So there's the airport right there. We barely see it. So when I looked at the weather radar, it showed that there was a severe storm. It looks like the real world weather for Flight Simulator is a little bit behind. It is showing crappy visibility at least. Alright, now we're going to fly a heading of 220. Feet off the ground, so now we're going to descend back to 5,300. The slow descent, flaps 5. There's Pavy right there. You see that there was a little glitch in the computer. It wanted us to turn and go back. That's obviously not how that's going to work, so that's why I'm flying currently in heading, so I can get aligned with what I need to do. Well, let's just confirm that our runway length. So the winds have shifted yet again. So this is going to be interesting. Winds are all over the place. So we were set up for ILS 4. That's going to be a 20 knot tailwind. That's not going to work. So now we have to reconfigure for runway 31. So let's go down in here. Arrival. So what we're going to have to do is we're most likely going to have to do the RNAV. RNAV is right here. We have no star. And we're going to execute. So now, what it's going to have to do is we're still flying the Pavy. But now we have to get set up for the RNAV here. So, it's unfortunate because there's an RNAV here. And it's a shorter runway. Because runway 4 had 13,000 feet. on now, man. Do your thing. Come on. Let's see, will the wind shift yet again? Yeah, it's all over the board right now. Alright. I'm gonna hand fly it. I don't want to, but I'm gonna have to hand fly it. Flight corrector comes off. It's weird flying around here right now, especially in the simulation. Good visibility right up here. But yet, for some reason, close to the airport, it wants to be very, very low visibility. Playing with us. So let's get that gear down. We're just gonna get set up. Over here. And if I miss it, I miss it. We are quite literally flying blind here. We are going to get an altitude warning just because I'm trying to keep this airplane in the air. We're going to go 145. Actually, I haven't even added full flaps.
Airspeed low.
Getting it figured out here. Flying blind. People flying blind. Not fun. Basically looking at lights. And having the airplane auto throttles do its thing. I don't want control of the throttles yet, in case if I have to go around. But we have 13,000 feet to play with here. I have no idea how far off I am. it shifted again to a tailwind. It was a headwind, now it's a tailwind. I'm just looking at what little lights I have.
500.
It says we're about 5 miles from here, which doesn't seem right. So I'm going to keep it about 500 feet off the deck here until I see some semblance of runway lights. Gotta be right on top of it. There we go, runway lights. I have the throttles. Now the winds are calm. Look at this. This is insane. Now the winds are picking up.
Airspeed low. Airspeed low. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. 100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
A little off center, but that's okay. Look at that. That is insanity. Well, we got it down. That was a very, very rough approach. Looks like I got a taxiway up ahead here, and our gate should be over here. I'm going to keep the landing lights on so I can see where I'm going. Insanity. I'm actually very, very happy with that touchdown. Even though we weren't on the center line, that was completely blind flying by hand. It's like I said, it's a good thing we had 13,000 feet to play with, because that was nuts. And I think this altimeter shifted again. 3032, yeah, we're way off. Alright. I see the terminal up ahead. So there's a dash 8 right there. I believe our spoilers are still... yeah, they're still up. It's the only problem with the PMDG is you have to manually move it. But welcome to Amarillo, Texas. Not exactly the coolest landing I've had to do, but it's up there. Okay, where do we have to go? I'm unfamiliar with this airport. Looks like the terminal's over there. We're kind of going to go off the beaten track here. Like a border building. like a spotlight. Anything over here. This is insane. So our gate's way off in the corner over there, so we gotta navigate our way over here in this complete and total darkness here. See more airplanes. Our terminal is right here. I have no idea because you can see that the way that this is oriented is weird. Marker lines, nothing. So it's just a guessing game. Well, there's a person. The tug's in a bad spot. There's our... Hey. Do without him. I don't know if there's any scenery, but I'm going to have to buy some of this. It's just weird. This layout's weird. But here we are. We're parked for the most part. So that'll do it for today's video. Very interesting landing. I was not expecting the weather to shift so suddenly. But here we are. So that'll do it for this installment of Fly with Orbit. Comment down below what destinations you would like to see. If you are familiar with Flight Sim and everything like that, you should be able to log on there and just take a look around and see what kind of destinations you would like to see to have a terminal. Also, make sure to leave a like on the video and hit that subscribe button as well, and the notification bell so you are notified for when the next video goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.